All right. Welcome, everybody, to the March 20th, 2017 meeting of SIG Service Catalog in the Kubernetes community on the planet Earth in the G136 reality. So today, the first thing that we're going to have on the docket is Jess Frizzell's going to give a demo of Pod Preset. Jess, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just share my screen.
Take it away.
Let's see. Cool. Can you see that?
I'm
Okay.
your computer viewing your screen.
Okay. So what we have. Okay, so I guess if you aren't familiar with the pod preset whole thing, it's an admission controller, and it will allow you to inject various resources into a pod. So like in this example that we're setting, we're going to just call it like allow database. It's going to be in a specific namespace. We should probably just do default. And then it's going to match on looking at labels called front end. So I'll show you our pod spec too, which is just this Nginx pod that's called website. It has this role front end that we're going to be matching on with our pod preset role front end. And it's going to inject like a environment variable, DB port, and volume mounts and volumes. So it basically just modifies the pod spec for any sort of like label selector that you give it. So let me like make sure, because I just got out of another meeting, that like my server is actually running. Okay, cool. Okay, nothing's running, great. Okay, so we'll create like first our pod preset. Crap. Okay, so I started the thing without the right API configs, I guess. So there's like a new API resource settings, v1 alpha 1. So this should turn that on. And then we turn on the admission controller as well. Sorry. Oof. Live demos. Sorry, time passing slowly.
So this eventually is going to allow you to specify as part of a binding how the binding should be consumed in pods in that binding's namespace. So say, for example, that you're binding to an instance of a database, a SQL database. You'll be able to say, I want to get configured with this in the pods that consume it via environment variables. And as part of the binding, you say, put the credentials for this service into secret database credentials. And then also in the binding, you'll be able to put a pod preset spec that says, take the secret database credentials and inject it into any pod that matches my label selector via environment. And that's kind of where part of the secret sauce to Service Catalog and Kubernetes lies.
So Jess, will this restart existing pods that match the label selector?
No, it's only on create. So if you do it and then you create a pod, it will inject those. But if your pod's already running, it's not going to do that.
Yeah, so in that regard, it has parity conceptually with usage of Catalog and Cloud Foundry. One thing that we've discussed as a possible follow-up or future extension is to allow controllers whose labels, who create pods whose labels match this label selector to create a new generation of pods.
Yeah. Sorry, this is taking forever.
That Minikube latency.
The flags are also super weird. Like, I mean, just look at how long that is. It's the worst. I mean, I guess most of that is the admission control.
So what was the, I'm gonna put you on the spot, Jess, while this cluster starts. In the nick of time. You got away clean this time, Frizzell.
What was gonna be your question though? I'm nervous.
I was gonna ask you a silly question like, what was your very favorite part of developing this feature?
I mean, it like touched literally everything, I think. If you look at like all the code that was generated afterwards, it was like everything. Yeah, I guess it was also finding out like all those little hidden details of things that you had to change to add a new API group.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this again. Oh, what the hell? Okay. Life is hard. Why is it not running with it?
So Jess, why don't we do this? Why don't you unshare, and we need to go through the MVP2 milestone, so we can come back to you.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
No problem. No problem. I think maybe as a backup plan, if you could offer the demo gods between a pint and a gallon of blood, that tends to be what they like. All right, I'm going to share my screen. And we are going to take a look at MVP2. So let's see here. Share my screen. Amazing. Absolutely amazing that on March 20th, 2017, I was offered the opportunity to share only the window that I actually wanted to share by Zoom. Thank you, Zoom. It is truly appreciated. So we're going to run through all of these. So first up, Aaron found a bug today where if you bind to the UPS broker before you have a instance provisioned, it will panic. That's what 589 is. I think it's got LGTM1 on it. Sounds like it's ready to review. Accurate?
Accurate.
Okay. Next one is Doug found that the dev guide is stale in some areas. I have a pull request open to fix that. Next up is, that's the issue that 589 fixes. Next one is to enable the controller to be tested on TPR storage. I assume that's the integration test, right, Aaron?
That's right.
Okay.
Somewhere below, 576 fixes that.
Okay. And then there's a pull request from Simon to fix some of the flaky tests for TPR. I like fixing flakes. That's good. And in fact, in general, the last several years of my software development career have basically put me permanently off flake-based serials for this reason. Next one is ensure that the OSB GUID is never changed across API server calls. Aaron, did we ever establish whether that was happening?
We did. And this test makes sure that they don't, and they don't anymore.
Okay. Excuse me. And next one appears to be the issue that 580 fixes, which is write an integration test to establish that OSB GUID can't change once assigned. 576 we've already covered as TPR storage integration tests. Kent, have you gotten unstuck from that? I know we were talking about that one earlier.
Yeah, I'm so close I can taste it.
All right. Well, I can taste it too now. Next one is pull request that I opened to make the fake broker server act like an OSB broker. So what I found when adding an integration test that basically simulates the walkthrough is that I was using the broker client, and that is not really suitable for use in an integration test. It's fine at what it does, and it's fine for unit tests, but since controllers might make calls again and again, what I had started doing is making a fake broker that's an OSB compliant broker. This is going to get tabled. I might move this out of MVP2 now for reasons that we'll get to momentarily. So next up is add E2E walkthrough testing in Jenkins from everybody's favorite cereal-based Nick, Kibbles and Bites. I see this has 2 LGTMs on it, which is good. I hope that this one can be merged soon, because this will give us a lot more confidence about about ensuring that we don't break the walkthrough. Next one is an issue that Aaron has opened because the controller was re-provisioning and rebinding things. So a couple things about this. At the protocol level, at the API spec level, it is totally fine to resend the same provision and same bind request as you've already sent. And if you send them the exact same way, brokers are supposed to be idempotent and tell you, awesome, great, I already did that. In practice, we have found that, surprise, surprise, not everybody implements the broker spec correctly. And so basically the issue here was to avoid resending requests if we've already reconciled a particular state and we got into a ready condition equals true. Let's see. Aaron, do you know if my poll to fix that got merged?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't remember.
All right, so there's a poll for that open. We might come back to that one. Next one is to create Helm charts for service catalog resources. Fairly self-explanatory, so you don't have to do like kubectl creates all over town. Next one is to add auth secret fields to broker example template. I actually don't know what this one is. Aaron, what is this?
So the broker obviously can be configured with auth credentials. So for example, we were using an S3 broker that required a secret. So this adds those fields.
Okay.
It actually probably won't be necessary because 565 will have it because it's a Helm chart.
Okay. So next one up is walkthrough prerequisite not listed. You have to have a running UPS broker. I believe there's a poll for that one. Next one is another prereq that's missing. Test namespace has to exist before you start the walkthrough in order for the binding to work. Next one, I see separate the walkthrough from the dev guide as a proposal. That sounds like it might be a worthy goal, especially now that you can demo and do the walkthrough without building anything. Next one is refactor the walkthrough to work with the Helm charts that the other polls are adding. And after that, we've got the flaky test for I believe this is for third-party resources being installed. I think there's a pull request that we've already looked at for that, number 574. Next one is a pull for me that adds a integration test that does provision and bind, and basically is like an integration test for the walkthrough. This is the one that I referenced earlier. I think after my pull to avoid reprovisioning and rebinding goes in, this can go in without changes, but I'll have to follow up on that. Next one is a pull to not start the API server when the TPR installation fails. And folks, I'm very pleased to say that like the theme of we're tightening this stuff up and fixing documentation breaks seems to be very evident in these issues as we walk through them. That is greatly appreciated, and you all will appreciate it after KubeCon when there's a bunch of people poking around the repo. So thank you all for pitching in to get this stuff shaped up. Next issue, add TPR storage to the tests and test integration client set tests. I know Kent and Aaron have been working on this. I've been offering some consultations of low to moderate help, perhaps, when I've been asked.
Low.
What's that?
Definitely low.
All right, noted.
Paul, you skipped 541. I think that's definitely been fixed, but I don't remember which PR fixed it.
Okay. As a takeaway, can you make sure that gets closed out? Okay. Next one is integration test for the controller. As we've discussed, I have some additional polls in process now to realize that one. Next one is have an EDE for the walkthrough, which Michael Kibe has been working on. Next up is add a health check that fails in the API server if until all TPRs have been created. It sounds like that one's in progress right now. Next one is implement asynchronous provision and deprovision. Now, just for the record, technically the client already does this. However, when you do an async provision or deprovision, the Go routine that calls it blocks until it's finished, which is not really sustainable long-term. I will be quite honest with everybody. I'm not certain that we will get to this one this week, and I think that's okay. Really, what we're trying to hit is having something that works well enough to show people at KubeCon, communicate the value proposition, and provide a good basis for further collaboration after new people join the project.
So can we move that out to MVP 3?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that one now. This one is what conditions should we have in the API? I also think that this should be moved out to MVP 3.
Yeah, agreed.
So what we've done, come on GitHub, what we've done for now is that there's a ready condition, and that's basically it. Next one, add continuous integration that runs EDE tests. I think that Michael's pull request closes this. Next one is add support for pod preset, aka pod injection policy, or the resource formerly known as PIP, as I sometimes like to call it. I will be honest with everybody. I don't see this happening this week for reasons that I want to get to once I start talking about good old number 413. Self-link for brokers is incorrect. It's missing a slash. I actually have a clue on how to fix this one. I had intended to just fix it after the rebase, but I think I know how to fix it now. So I'm probably going to go try to do that in the next day or so. And last, but certainly in no way, shape, or form least, we have rebase onto Kubernetes 1.6 candidate. So last week, Jeff Peeler and I sat together in Raleigh and started this. I think that we are about 85 to 90% done with it. In doing this, we found a couple things that need to be fixed in Kubernetes before we will be able to consume pod presets. So as an example, there is machinery that publishes from the Kubernetes, Kates.io Kubernetes repo in a subdirectory called the staging repo, publishes the API machinery and API server repositories. That hasn't been working for some time now, apparently. And in order for that in order to complete the rebase, I really want that to be fixed so that we can be on the latest version of everything. I have some assurances from folks that work on API machinery that that will be unblocked on this today. I haven't seen that has happened yet. I'm no longer certain that we'll be able to complete the rebase this week. And I would really like for as many testing pools to be merged as we can possibly get before the rebase lands. And as a function of all this, Client Go does not yet have the settings API group that Jess added for pod preset in it. So these things need to be unblocked before we're going to be able to consume pod preset in this repo. Short of rolling our own client or using a different client, which I think is not really an option.
So before KubeCon or before the rebase, whichever comes first, I'd like to tag an O.O.1 in GitHub.
Yeah.
And as a reminder, that will push an O.O.1 tagged Docker image to Quay. And we can then use that for all the demos in KubeCon and put that as documentation to use that image.
Yeah.
We'll have a stable release for KubeCon, but unblock the rebase. So in addition to what Paul said about merging as many testing PRs and whatever we want to call them, fix-up PRs or bug fix PRs before the rebase, I'd also like to merge as many of those before we tag as well.
Yeah, I agree. So I think that probably the best time to cut that version is after the integration testing pulls dealing with TPR and the controller and so forth get merged. What opinions do people have about that?
I only say I'd like to do it Thursday or sooner so that we have at least one day for final testing.
Well, what we could do is we could create an O.O.1 candidate tag now. And
that's fine with me.
Okay. I tell you what, why don't we do that and we'll make an O.O.1 tag later in the week after more of these test polls have merged. Everybody okay with that?
So in conjunction with an O.O.1 candidate, can people make some time today and tomorrow to go through the walkthrough or go through whatever other demos or walkthroughs you have on your own and file bugs under MVP2 if you find them?
I think that would be awesome if folks could do that. And basically, I think everybody that's used the MVP has found at least one bug so far. So the more the merrier. Give me them bugs. All right, so that's what we got for MVP 2. Thanks to everybody that's working on fixing stuff. And let's check back with Jess. Jess, how's it going?
Not good. Yeah, I
Not
can't figure
good.
out what the problem is, and it's probably something stupid, and it's making me mad.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. All right. So with that said, are there any topics that folks would like to bring up relative to either MVP2 or KubeCon?
Are we still planning on meeting at KubeCon?
We are still planning on meeting. Thursday was the day that was selected. I still need to reserve the space because I suck.
What do you need from us for the talk, Paul? Anything we can help with?
I think that I actually have a slide deck that's in progress now, so I'll reach out if there's anything that I wind up needing.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not hearing anybody raising their hands or seeing any hands raised. Why don't we call it here, and we can all return nose to contact with the grindstone, except I see Aaron is wildly raising his hands. Aaron.
PRs. So if you have a PR that needs to go in, if it's a bug fix or documentation, can you either milestone it with MVP2, or if you can't, ping me and I'll milestone it as MVP2. And then others, if you're looking for reviews, go in to the polls/polls. So that's all the pull requests that are currently open. Select MVP2 for the milestone and get reviewing. We could really use reviews on the LGTM1 or PRs that have LGTM2 on them. Because as you saw in our overview of issues and PRs that Paul did, there's quite a few PRs that are ready to merge soon, if not now, that can get a lot of issues will be closed by a lot of PRs that are outstanding right now. So reviews, get reviewing, please. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I'll take a pass through all the PRs and make sure that everything is tagged with MVP2 that's relevant to it, so that everything shows up in this list. All right. Well, let me just end this on a note that I think it's a little ironic that we've been talking about stability and tests when there is a clearly smoke detector shaped hole to the right screen right of Aaron's head in the background. Is that
some electrical work was being done?
Okay, cool. Thanks, everybody. See you on the internet. Later.